Welcome back, everybody, to a special episode of Big Apple Hockey. It is one that we had to kind of rush out here, and hoping that Anthony or Phil can possibly join me to help break this down any moment. I, of course, am your host, Mark Williams, and shocking news of the day, because you figured death, taxes, and Lane Lambert making stupid decisions behind the Islanders bench was going to be the curse of this team forever. And fortunately, it is finally done. The nightmare is over for every single Islander fan that has to watch this idiot make decisions that just made your head scratch. Look, am I being a little bit too harsh? Maybe I am. You guys go ahead, hit in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking right now. But this is something that's been a long time coming. Anthony LaRocco of our show has been voicing this opinion since the Capitals game the first week of November. And that's how many bad decisions he's been making for a long time. And we were actually going to debut a new Islanders show specifically on the channel just for the Islander fans. And this week, and we were just figuring we'd be talking more about Lane and the fact that the season is completely in the balance. But even though it's not the main show, I'm going to flash the graphic for the A block for us, where we're discussing about the Islanders. Make sure you're hitting the like, and also make sure you appease the YouTube gods and hit that subscribe button if you haven't. But this was major breaking news today, as the Islanders got into the firing lane, and it finally just it's you look at this stretch that the Islanders had. I highlighted this at the beginning of January, and it was basically make or break. And as you can look on there, you had the Arizona win, and you had the comeback win, a matter of fact, in overtime against Toronto Maple Leafs. Other than that, just the Islanders have just been getting killed. It's not a West Coast trip, it's a Central trip. It was horrible. And going winless on this trip, right now, 45 games played. They are tied for fourth in the Metropolitan Division with the New Jersey Devils, who won last night. That beat Columbus. And it was something that had to happen. I put up a picture about it and then accidentally misworded it last night on our Instagram. But this is something that needed to happen. And the Islanders needed this in order to save their season. Now, the question is, will it? Because right now, you had a goal differential of -21 for the New York Islanders. And now the focus can now turn to Patrick Roy. Patrick Roy, when he was with the Avs, he's going to be the ultimate wild card for the New York Islanders. And you look at the record, 130, 92, 24, 2014, Jack Adams, winner for the best coach of the league. They were upset by Minnesota. I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, it was Nino Niederreiter who had the series-winning goal in Game 7. But you look at Patrick Roy's first year, major improvement for the Avs, 52, 22, and 8. But he was only 8 games over 500 the next 2 years, never finished above 6th place. Does this move save the Islanders' season? Look, I'm going to go to your comments in a minute, guys. There's already some pretty good ones that are coming in. But I have to say this. It had to happen, because he was just dragging this organization down. And I was getting frustrated. I don't even have a horse in the race, other than the fact that Anthony, Philk, and we cover the Islanders with Big Apple Hockey. And it's just every single day you were just expecting to see this team blow third period leads, to win games that they shouldn't lose, bad things just happening left and right. I mean, even when it's not even within the coach's control. Think about the goal in Winnipeg the other night where Sorokin had the blade pop off his right skate and then he couldn't push back. It's just stuff like that was happening to this team. Maybe now some good mojo will be coming their way. Maybe it'll be a coach and a different voice in the room. And make no mistake, Patrick Waugh will command respect from the moment he walks in there. Because first off, if you're not respecting one of the greatest goalies ever to play the game, then you got some issues. But this team will be better, and it will get that new coach bump. At 45 games played, they have the most games played out of all the teams currently in the wild card hunt. That they have Toronto's got 2 games in hand. They're tied with Detroit. Washington's got 2 games in hand. Devils got 2 games in hand. Pittsburgh's got 3 games in hand. But this was a move that needed to happen right now, because if the Islanders kept going on this string, and once again, let me point out that the rest of January right here, the winnable game was last night. And credit to the Islanders for coming back from a 3-1 deficit in the third period and forcing overtime. But that was a game that they needed 2 points in. They needed to get a point out of the Nashville game. And they just, it seemed like they were going to save his job for a second. And honestly, I'm shocked by this. I am absolutely shocked, because I still didn't understand what took Lou so long on this one. Because if I was in his position, he would have been fired after the San Jose game. This was the second time this season the Islanders lost to the worst team in hockey. The second time. And it's just, it's something that needed to be done. Thankfully, it's done, and now it's over with. Checking to see whether or not I have Anthony and Phil going on. Now, one point that Phil is making right now through text is Patrick Waugh hasn't coached in almost 10 years. His last season that he coached, I got it for you right here, was the 2015-2016 season. And it's going to be interesting. But here's the thing. It's just another voice in the room. That's what matters so much more. It's not Lane Lambert. It's not just all the stupid stuff that he was doing. Let me get to some of your comments right now. John Smith is saying, now let's just get us a real first left wing and we'll be good. Well, you know what? Anders Lee still isn't a bad option right there. And hey, Mark, totally stunned, but happy about it. I think everybody needs to be. Wicked, how we doing? And he's saying hello. But Chris is saying, let's go. And also, Fire Lane finally happened. I'm shocked it happened. I got to tell you, I'm shocked it happened too, because if you guys heard us, you saw the 2 shorts that we had about this. It was absolutely, I mean, Anthony was convinced that they're not going to fire him. They're going to be stuck with him the rest of the season. And going with assistants, I'm actually kind of surprised they brought in Patrick Waugh at that, because one of my theories that I've just said out loud, I think about a month ago, was it wouldn't surprise me if they fired Lane and John McClain took over. And after all, Doug Waite was an assistant coach, and he replaced Chris Capuano. And I think Lou never wanted to fire John McClain when he was the New Jersey Devils GM and when McClain was the head coach over there. And this would have been a great chance for the 2 of them to have redemption with it. But as this user is saying right here, while we're bearing discipline and mental toughness that this team desperately needs, yes, this team desperately needs it, because if they weren't blowing as many third period leads, they'd be in first place with the New York Rangers, or at least shouting at that, instead of trying to fight from behind as they're doing right now. And yes, he had to go. Chris is saying the season is not over yet. That is absolutely true. And very curious to hear what type of coach he is. I hope he's a coach that plays a very modern system. Well, that's really what the good part, or the difference is. Now, just reading this tweet right now from Scott Wheeler. Last year's Quebec Ramparts were the most well-structured and well-coached junior teams I've ever watched. They didn't even look like a CHL team. Identity, a clear system and roles within it, and those kids played their hearts out for Patrick Waugh. Convinced me he's a very good coach. Look, he had his first time through, and everybody raved about him in his first season. He's definitely had to have learned some things. Now, is he going to learn some things on the level, maybe say Dave Haxtell learned by going around and being an assistant for a few years? and then bringing Seattle to the second round last year, winning a playoff series for the first time in his coaching career. And it looks like he's got Seattle competitive again. This is going to be, what has he learned and how is he going to apply what he has learned? State of Survival saying, wait, what happened? Yes, Lane Lambert is gone. Adios, sayonara. Let's just be friends. It's not you, it's me. I've really been busy working with work lately, or whatever way you said goodbye. But so it finally happened because this team wasn't the team that Lane inherited under Barry Trotz. And you can see what a good coach can do for a team. Let's see if Patrick Waugh can do what Barry Trotz did for the Islanders only a few short years ago. The number is not hitting me at the moment. I believe it was 2018, 2019 was his first season. So and we turned the most porous defensive team into a William Jennings winner. So, and obviously great coaches do know they can't go out and go play the game. Who knows? The Islanders might need a backup goalie. Maybe have a little bit of the Lester Patrick thing. Stage has gone on to say, oh man, did we really hire Waugh? Yes, you did. And then I got to credit Lou for going outside the box on this one. Completely outside the box. Who would have thought that the Islanders would think like this? You kind of thought maybe it might get a retread or something like that. Yeah, Patrick Waugh is a retread, technically speaking, anyway. But this is a full-on nut. They just threw into the mix. Mike is saying there's a big move. If coaching was a problem, and can he make the changes he wants? I think he's going to have a lot of input on that, and he's going to have to hit the ground running. They got Dallas tomorrow, and then they got Vegas on Tuesday. That is not the best ideal situation. And then Montreal on Thursday. There will be players that will be playing with a different amount of energy. The life was sucked out of this team, and apparently Lou finally read that yesterday. Look, I mean, even kind of Seth Jones shrugged when he scored the game winner last night. And I'm not sure if he expected that was going in, but it went in. And at least now, look, Islander fans, this has been a nightmare. This has been an absolute nightmare for you for the longest time, and now you don't have to worry about that. John D. Lee is saying wow about that. Yes, John, always great seeing you. And more important, Shannon is in the tweet or in the comments right here. There is no way ownerships would have allowed Lou to make this decision. He put this team together. He should have been fired last year. Yeah, I mean, look, Lambert kind of proved that he deserved another year by getting the team into the playoffs, especially after the Barzell injury in February. They kind of locked down everything and were a very, very good defensive team towards the end. But this team, defensively speaking, let's just go right to the stats right here, guys. I tried to prep as fast as I could for this, but there's a couple of stats that are alarming that made you say, this guy needed to go. The Islanders were in the top 5 last year in goals against. Where are they this year? They are 26th. That's not good. But they opened it up and they were more offensive, right? You know where they are right now? They're 23rd. So you're already taking away the identity of what the team was, but that's not even the most alarming stat. Because, yes, the power play has been good. Credit John McClain on that. Although they've dropped now to 12. They got as high as 5 at one point. And speaking about which, nope. And we'll get into the other team that's right now is kind of struggling. But the Islanders 29th in the league on the power play. That is something, on the penalty kill, I meant to say. That is, you can't have that happen. You can't have that happen. So every time the Islanders basically took a penalty, it was in the back of their net. This is a team built on defense, predicated on defense. They have to do this. Shannon is saying, huge move. Waugh will bring discipline and mental toughness the team needs, and I am happy about that. Oh, good. I think you actually said that earlier. All right. And Sweet Palmetto Breeze. Now, trade a first for Jacob Chychrun, and let's go. You know what? You might not need to. Noah Dobson has been absolute fire on the blue line. You might not need Chychrun for the offense, but you know what? maybe look into Noah Hannafin. Although the rumor has it Noah Hannafin could be signing an extension that is supposed to be dropping this week. Phil covered that on the show this week. By the way, of course, new episodes every Wednesday. We cover Rangers, Islanders, and the rest of the NHL. But this is, you know what? Maybe Chris Tanev could be somebody that the Islanders can go get from Calgary, because Calgary is definitely going to be selling off a lot of parts. Mike Anywhere for Life is saying, pretty sure when I mentioned Gallant was fired and Phil was not a fan. Yeah, Phil kind of has his reservations about Patrick Waugh, and so do I. I mean, you're talking about a guy that he finished first. He finished in first place, I believe, first overall in the NHL at that point. I'll have to check that in a moment. But the other thing about it was, I mean, after that, he never finished above sixth place. So that's kind of a little bit of an eyebrow raiser. The Facebook username was you. And of course, Ranger Central is saying it, Jack Capuano with a little bit of a laugh, but we'll see about that. No, Chris Capuano, Jack Capuano. Did I say that? You know what? I got a lot of names in my head. So there we go. Chris, who actually sent me the message to let me know this was coming. Yeah, I knew an emergency meeting was happening. Yes. And by the way, they had to do this. And how you doing, Granny? Very curious by Lou is what John D. Lee is saying. And of course, back to State of Survival. Bye, Lee. See you, Wallstrom. It's going to be interesting to see what roster moves they decide to make with that. So, and yeah, Granny was saying right here, I knew his time was up when the Wild beat them and the Wild were playing shitty. Yeah. But, you know, heads will definitely roll on this team. State of Survival is saying, will heads roll? Yes. Heads will have some type of role, but right now he's just the interim coach. I don't know if they sign him full term. Let's see about that. But do you think Wild will dump any players and acquire any new players? Well, Lou is still there. So Lou is going to be talking about the acquisitions and such. Maybe Wild, who wanted input in Colorado, but led to some problems with Joe Sakic. And that's, I mean, hell, that was one of his friends. Waugh is probably a good short-term hire, not a good long-term one. David, I'm kind of with you on this one, but that's the thing. The Islanders need the shot in the arm right now. You have to save this season. You can't just say, and they weren't winning a Stanley Cup with Lane Lambert. I'm not even sure if they were making the playoffs with Lane Lambert. And I brought up the point about Todd Reirden, that a lot of these Barry Trotz proteges just, well, not a lot. There's only really two. Just haven't done the job when they've been given the head coaching chance. I didn't know Waugh was available. I'm disappointed in Billy J. Yeah, well, yeah, maybe there's a reason why these guys have been a little bit hesitant to bring him in. And that's why you get a guy like John Hines now on his third job over there in Minnesota. Everest is saying Lou is the clown running scared fish sticks forever. You know what? It's a movie he had to make. I'm not even sure if it's that a running scared thing, but this is a movie he should have made 2 months ago. Maybe he could have ended up with a different head coach. As much as people want to say who was the guy coming in, here's the thing. It wasn't Lane Lambert. That was the big thing. Back to you, Granny, who said he'll probably have to do a quick evaluation so he knows who is dead weight. That's what every coach has to do, but he doesn't have that much time. He's got, like I said before, Dallas, Vegas, then it's Montreal and Florida. And if the Islanders aren't careful, and I can tell you right now, with Lambert behind there, 1 and 3 was asking a lot, especially the way they've been playing. You know, there's been injuries. You know, people want to just say that, but some guys, just like in baseball, let's say, for instance, I say Chris Capuano before. And you get guys that they can be the 8th inning guy, but the ninth inning guy. You get guys that are head coaches and guys that are assistant coaches. Lane Lambert clearly proved to be an effective assistant coach. He'll fall on his feet somewhere else and get another job. Alon is saying, problem is, and always will be, Lou, 7-year deals for Mayfield and Engvall make me realize that Lou must go much sooner than later. Yes, I agree with you on that, but I think it's more that I don't think that he must go. I don't think he's making the right decisions on that. I understand he kept the AAVs low on those, but the fact is, right now, Mayfield's contract looks terrible. Engvall's contract looks terrible. If those guys revert back to their production from last year, we're not having that conversation. So, and it's going to be a short show, everybody. I'm only going to go to about 5:10 because I have to get ready for work soon. Sandor is saying Ilya Sorokin should be the happiest Islander right now. Yes. A matter of fact, there was a tweet that came out from Anthony about a couple minutes ago. Here we go, guys. This is actually from Mike Kelly. Improving team defense will be priority number one for Patrick Waugh. Islanders' current per game ranks. Ready for these. Shot attempts, 32nd. Inner slot shots, 32nd. Rush chances, 32nd. Rebound chances, 32nd. Expected goals, 32nd. Slot passes, 30th. Cycle chances, 29th. Those are terrible statistics. And here's the thing. Patrick Waugh coached an offensive team in Colorado when he was there. Can he use those same strategies? We'll see about that one. Let's keep going. And yes, and Ilya Sorokin, another thing about him, as our illustrious Mr. Anthony LaRocco mentioned, about the amount of shots that he's seen. Just want to pull this one up for you. Everybody. By the way, thanks for sticking with me through the dead air for the moment. Because this is a good stat. This is the reason why gotta mention this for everybody. Search. Because nobody's been hit with more rubber than Ilya Sorokin. He must feel like the Long Island Expressway right now. And it's that it's clearly affecting him in a lot. All right, right now Twitter isn't working, everybody. So you're spared from me having to read this. Anthony will probably bring it up later on if he could join on. Yeah, I did say Chris Capuano. Okay, whatever. Who fucking cares? That's my answer. Neither one matters anymore. I don't know if Jack Capuano will ever get another thing. First off, you know who I meant anyway. Shut up. All right. Everest is saying, who cares about the fish? Should we talk about the obvious Shesterkin problems we're having? Everest, we're going to get back to that. We are going to get back to that, and we are going to do this. I have to do a show for the Islanders on this one, because this is the bigger news. The obvious, by the way, if you want to say something, the obvious problems Shesterkin is having, let me say this. They go back to the Islanders for right now. Phil and I have talked about this on the main show for the last couple weeks, but right now, if you're the New York Rangers, you absolutely cannot sign Igor Shesterkin to an extension, and the likeliness of trading him in the offseason keeps going up by the lack of production he's having. I've made this comment, and I'm going to anger a lot of Ranger fans. He is closer to being Jim Carrey than he is to being Henrik Lundqvist. Take that to the bank. Go ahead, throw up the comments in a little bit how much of an asshole I am. All right. I'll always make the panko fish sticks. Yeah. He is a full-time coach. Okay, Sandor, thank you very much. Because that's big. Like, Lou made the decision on a full-time coach in the middle of January. So he's not bringing him in as an interim. He's bringing him in to be the full-time coach. That's amazing. When do we get to have a big bitch session about player safety? Refs are ridiculous. Granny, we got to get on that because the refs are being ridiculous. This has been terrible. If anyone can help Sorokin get his confidence back, it'll be Waugh. Look, that's going to help. That's going to help, because if there was any way you could say the most mentally strong goaltender possibly in the history of the NHL is Patrick Waugh. Take away the one game against Detroit where he was hung out to dry, but the guy is the strongest goaltender then that's there. Anyway, Ranger Central, I'm shocked they didn't go with Berube. I'm guessing that they would have needed permission, and maybe he just wants to take a year to rest. That's all I can think of. Yeah, I think that could very well be likely. So that's not much of a problem. Jocelyn is saying, good move. The change had to be made. Yes, it had to be. And David's saying they aren't going to trade Igor. If anything, they'll let him walk. He still has, what, 2 more years available? No, actually, all right. I'm getting it from Core pretty bad on this one. I'm going to get back to him in a second. But let's go to cap friendly. I think Igor only has 1 more year. And no, the answer isn't let him walk. You make the trade, because here's the thing: the Rangers need assets. The Rangers' assets are starting to dwindle, and Shesterkin has this year at $5.666 million and next year at $5.666 million. Here's the simple fact, and let me say this: we'll go back to the news of the day pretty soon, and also Core getting on me for saying Chris Capuano, who is the better of the 2 Capuanos, and the more recent Capuano that I can think of. I can't remember when he pitched for the Mets. But as far as this goes with Shesterkin, there's been 3 goaltenders that have, 4, that have a Vezina Trophy and a Stanley Cup since the lockout. Tim Thomas in 2011. Braden Holtby, 2018. Andre Vasilevsky and Marc-Andre Fleury, who got his Vezina after he won his Stanley Cups. It's better to go with the $5 million goaltender who's a little bit more average and maybe not such a head case. Sorry, guys. Igor's a head case. We're going to have to just deal with that. But let's finish on the Patrick Waugh situation. Islander fans, if you have any more comments you want to throw on here, we're going to get on there. Mike is saying, ever since the Penguins got into Igor's head, I've had my doubts. If that got into his head, then he really has other issues. Jocelyn is mad, she's saying, or is that mad good? Yeah, the good move, the change out to be made, as you said before. State of Survival. When do you think Lou started reaching out to Waugh for a coaching position? He might have been talking to him since the start of the season. I wouldn't be surprised if he talked to him last season, in the offseason. I mean, it's just, this is not, if he's signed on as permanent head coach, that's more of a move. You need to make sure you get everybody. I don't know if my comments said before that I actually care about Capuano. Mark, since he's on the free Pebble cereal box. Yeah, he always looked like Fred Flintstone. Again, Jack Capuano, speaking about which, I would have fired him after Game 7 versus the Capitals, where the Islanders got 11 shots on net in a Game 7. 11 shots in a do or die. You're fired. That's on the coach. You're fired. I know they had injuries. I know they had problems. You're fired. You don't even get to go to the podium. I'll go explain it as a GM. Yeah, I just can the coach. That's ridiculous. That's still something I can't believe. Credit to Jack Capuano that he won the first playoff series for the Islanders very next year in 2023. Shame on Gerard Gallant and the Panthers for, not covering the Islanders' best player in Game 6. And also shame on that ref, because that was a tripping call in front of an empty net. The Rangers may need the assets, but they also need a goalie. I think we're also forgetting Vegas won a Stanley Cup with Aiden Hill, a goalie they literally plucked from the scrap heap. And Darcy Kemper isn't. I think the rap on Darcy Kemper, when people say he isn't exactly the greatest goalie, I thought he was a very good goalie with Arizona, and even for the short time in Minnesota. But still, 42 you guys are watching right now. Everybody, thank you very much. Still talking about both the news of the day, the Islanders firing, I forgot his name already, Lane Lambert, and hiring Hall of Famer Patrick Waugh. And this is a shot in the arm, because you know what? You're getting a head coach who's you know what? He's a different voice, and he's a no-nonsense guy. He's got that fire that's in him. We've seen it several different times. And again, it would be a lot more than that, Granny. Because Igor Shesterkin does have a Vezina Trophy. Like, let's say, hypothetically, this was thrown out a couple different times. Ilya Sorokin for Leon Draisaitl. This was thrown out there I think by Larry Brooks. Let's say it's Shesterkin for him. Why wouldn't you do that? Because Edmonton needs a goalie, and the Rangers can use another center, maybe a number one center that's a little bit better on 5-on-5. And that, if you think that's heresy, check out the numbers that I put up about Chris Kreider when he played with Mika Zibanejad, because they're not great with the even strength numbers. He had more even strength goals per season with Derek Stepan. All right. Will's Cruddy is saying, no. Igor is facing more odd man rushes than the Islanders, than the Rangers are having power play shots. The quality of Igor's facing is obscene. Yes, but the way you also do that is bringing in a better defense, and you could do that without paying. I mean, I've been talking about Igor so much. Let's get the Jack's question right over here. Just first, let me say, Ranger Central is saying, I agree. The more and more time goes on, they need to learn how to build a team without elite goaltending. And Willie is saying, give him a 1-year show me deal. Back to Jack on the Islanders. Jack Islanders. Do you think this move will help the Islanders? Yes, it will greatly help the Islanders because it is not Lane Lambert. That's the big issue right now. You needed a different voice in that room. And when you got a guy like Patrick Waugh walking in there, muchos grandes quijones. So, and I hope I spoke Spanish enough that it's actually understandable right there. I didn't butcher it. All right, Dave saying, I do find it interesting how many NHL teams replace their coaches compared to like NFL teams where it's always temp until they move to the offseason. NHL teams have always kind of been a little bit trigger happy with their head coaches. And it's funny because it's a sport that you need good coaching. I would take this. I think every sport needs good coaching. Baseball, there's a reason why it's called a manager and not a coach, because the first thing you need to always manage your players, and it's a full season and it's 162 games. When it comes to this, structure is what's important. And when you saw the structure fail with Gerard Gallant going to the Rangers, that's where you knew that you needed to move on from him. 5:02 right now, guys. I'm going to go for about another 8 more minutes. I was hoping to have maybe a chance to get Anthony or Phil on, but it's not going to happen today. State of Survival says, the one thing I like about Lou is that he's not afraid to make a move. I agree with you, but why did it take so long? This team was clearly not going anywhere. And a matter of fact, when they went on that long stretch where they won a good amount of games, it didn't matter to me. I kept on saying they're winning games. I compared them to somebody that's driving home drunk, crashes their car, and stumbles into their house, bloodied, and passes out right in their living room. And all we could say is, well, at least they got home. No, that's not the way to do it. They needed a difference. And will Waugh emphasize more on defense or offense? That is a great question, because as Phil has pointed out in our group chat, that the last time Waugh coached the Avalanche, they were an offensive team and one of the better ones in the league, or at least in 2014. That was Nate McKinnon's rookie year. I have to say this. I would probably say he's going to want more offense, but he's got to come in and fix that defense. That defense has just been right now. Okay, like I said, and I mentioned before, sorry, everybody, a little bit of a glitch right there. Cardi Jetty is saying, well, yes, let's go Islanders. And yes, at least there's something good about that. Because they needed a new voice, everybody. Bixby, going back to you and saying, what are they going to emphasize? You got to fix this defense. They're a minus, like I said before, a minus 21 on their goal differential. They're still a good team at home, 11-5-6, but 8-10-5 on the road is not going to get it done. 2-6-2 in their last 10. The Islanders needed a change. What the New York Rangers need is Hannafin and to make Gus a number 7. Look, Eric Gustafson should be a number 7. That's about it. I mean, that's That's the best I could say about that. But right now, Braden Steiner looks like he needs to be the number 7. I don't know if you need to recheck that pairing or not, but and Gustafson, not exactly the guy you want on the roster on a playoff team, because he just hasn't shown it the deeper he's gone into the season. The bromance line must end. I agree with that. Also, I do think Igor has been incredibly unlucky this year. It doesn't matter. You make your own luck eventually. So state of survival, back to you. Come on, Sisterka to Toronto. Makes the most sense. And Shesty for Marner. What doesn't make sense, and I know we're looking at the talent, guys. We're looking at the talent on there. But the thing is, if you still got to fit them under the cap. So I'm going to get to Ronald in a second. He's got a good question. Everest is saying the defense definitely needs to be overhauled, starting with Trouba. Check on that in the summer. Trouba's actually had a better season, but he's starting to dwindle and revert back to what he was the last couple of years. We started the season with structure. It got a little bit tighter, and then something has just happened. Look, it's something that just happens in the course of an NHL season. Teams go through lulls. Ronald is saying, how happy are you, Lane Lambert, being fired and the Islanders hiring Patrick Waugh? The answer on that is very, because I was getting tired. I was getting tired of watching this. Like, it's just, how painful was it just watching over and over and over again? And Willie's saying it down below. A great line that I have to repeat in a second. But first, Chris from the Foz Truth. Good afternoon, Mark. Sorry I'm late to the party. Excited to see this, but I would have preferred Bruce Boudreau. Yeah, Bruce Boudreau would have really have done a great job for the Islanders and gotten them to be a lot more structured and offensive. Look what he did in Vancouver a couple years ago, and that's why I actually picked Vancouver to go deep last year. Instead, they go into the complete tank, and he ends up losing his job in the worst way. Can't argue with what Rick Tocchet is doing this year for them. He has been incredible. David saying Lou's got to go. Well, Lou's getting around his time. He didn't last long in Toronto, and this is New Jersey, where he had total control for like 30 years. Willie is saying the Islanders need to start winning in regulation too. Yes, because you can't be giving away that point. Especially, I think the breakdown is they have a lot more division games coming up. I think they have 11, or is it 15 that are coming up. Last 16 games, they've had no system, just play run and gun, pretty pray and passes on plays. That's about the Rangers, not about the Islanders. Jack is saying, which defenders do you think Waugh is going to keep? That is a great question, because I do have to think Mike Riley has played his way to more playing time right now for the Islanders. He's played pretty well. Look, I think the first thing they need to do is everybody needs to be healthy and fine. And that's a question for Anthony. I think we're gonna come back to that one on Wednesday, and if not, we're trying to do a Tuesday Islander show. So just to let you know on that one. How happy as a Ranger fan? Not very. I was ready to laugh about the Islanders missing the playoffs. Probably can't now. I think Patrick Waugh is going to be the shot in the arm the Islanders need. Like, here we go. State of survival. Will the Islanders make the playoffs this year? Now, that says playoffs. The P is just missing. I don't think he's asking about the layoffs. Guys, looking at this right now. Toronto, 52 points, 3 points ahead of the Islanders. They have 2 games in hand. Detroit, even 51 points even in games in hand, or games played, I should say, but they're 2 points ahead. There is a logjam that's here, and there are teams still fighting for relevance. I mean, hell, the Buffalo Sabres right now, they're 6-4 in their last 10, and they're right now 7 points out of a playoff spot, but they played 46 games. They played the most games of anybody in the Eastern Conference. And I mean, Ottawa's played the fewest, but it doesn't matter. Ottawa ain't going anywhere. Can the Islanders make the playoffs? You know, first things first, they got to come out and show what they could do tomorrow night or tomorrow versus Dallas, because it just, you can't, if they go 0-2, it's not going to matter. it's not going to matter. All right. If things don't go well for Patrick Waugh, what's the shelf life for him as a coach? He's not doing it for the money. Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting for him how long he stays, because after all, Dale Hunter went back and coached juniors, and they know that he can go back and coach juniors because that's where he's been most successful. Now, I think he wants to be an NHL head coach. So let's hope that this is a successful stop for him. Guys, I'm going to start playing the music. We're going to take a couple more questions. Unfortunately, I have to go get to work. Granny is right. Make sure you're hitting that like button for me. And I think I have it all the way up here. Yeah, make sure you leave a like. Okay. I think there was a way of, yeah, there it is. There's the bubble for the like. Which I should actually do that more often and get that bubble up. All right. Yeah. So again, recapping today, we're going to talk more because I'm going to delve into the Igor Shesterkin stats, because every single year his save percentage has been dropping. And there's a lot to talk about and break down with the Rangers that are playing well and the Rangers that are not right now. The Rangers can get better in a lot of different areas. But getting back to this and Patrick Waugh, the Islanders need a new voice. What it comes down to, they're not winning. They weren't going to win with Lane Lambert. So, and you take a look at him in his first year, he had the entire team buying in. Not so much everybody else. And 8 games over 500 over your next 2 seasons, that's not gonna win much. And then after he left, the Avalanche had one of the worst seasons in recent memory. All right, Everest is saying Rangers must win first game against Fish Sticks this season to establish who owns the New York area, and the Fish Sticks are going to get used to that as a measuring stick and motivation if it's their cup. Well, they got the outdoor game. That's going to be coming up. That's a huge game for everybody. So I've actually got to look at again when that first game between them is going to be. It's can't believe they've gone. Their scheduling with the Rangers and Islanders have been so weird. All right, everybody, thanks very much for joining me. It's been about half hour or maybe about 45 minutes that we were doing this. Incredible. Make sure you tune in to our Wednesday show. We're going to be talking a lot about this and a lot about all the other issues in the NHL. Islander fans, let's see how you do. You got Dallas coming in tomorrow and then Vegas on Tuesday. Is this going to be a way to stabilize and save their season right now? Patrick Waugh is going to be learning on the fly with them. Everybody, thank you very much, and I'll see you soon.